We're very pleased to have a distinguished delegation from Dubai government and business here at Globe this year. I'm confident there's no better group than this for you to find the opportunities in Dubai in helping them create this greener future. We have 6 speakers, so I'm going to be fairly short in my introductions and start to introduce them to you. The first speaker, and I'll first of all introduce all 6, and then we'll ask them to come up and speak as they, in order. Mr. Waleed Salman, Chairman of the Dubai Green Economy Partnership and Board Member of the Dubai Supreme Council of Energy on my immediate left. Beside him is Fahad Al-Gergawi, Secretary General of the Dubai Green Economy Partnership and CEO of Dubai FDI. Beside him is Tahir Daib, Director of Strategic and Planning at the Dubai Supreme Energy Council, or Council of Energy. Beside him is Mohammed El-Shamsi, Senior Manager, Sustainability and Climate Change at the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority. Sulaiman Al-Rafi, Director of Project Finance at the Dubai Carbon Center of Excellence. And Marwan Abdul Aziz, the Executive Director of TCOM Science Cluster, which is NPark and Dubai Tech. So those are our speakers this morning, and I will now ask Mr. Waleed Salman to come up and make his comments.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, we're very much excited to come to this platform again. I mean, we've been here like 2 years back, and every time we come that we have a lot to share with you guys, and we're very much excited to meet different companies from different sectors. And as in today, you're gonna see the delegation that from the sectors where like we're focusing in the green economy, a platform that's been established in 2012 by His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Hamdan bin Hamad bin Rashid. And today we find that it's growing up. Not only this, and we are connecting with the world. So we connecting with associations from around the world that focusing in the clean tech and the green economy. We have a lot to share, and we have very great relationship, United Arab Emirates and Canada. That's why we leveraging this relationship and make out of it a business opportunities. So my colleagues today, they're gonna touch on very great opportunities from now to 2030. Most of them focusing on the green business, clean tech, and the green economy. We look this as an opportunity, honestly, even for us when we come here, we learn what's going on in this part of the world. And you guys very much advanced in terms of the smart cities and the green business. So what we're gonna, honestly, we're gonna touch on these projects and these initiatives, business opportunities, and we look forward to see and to engage in this business, I mean, as a partnership, as John said, because our approach is multi-stakeholder partnership. So we're focusing on the partnership to build our future. And now I'm gonna let my colleagues touch these projects and highlight them. We're gonna showcase Dubai in terms of smart city in the future and what have Dubai in the future to share with the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Waleed. Now we'll move on to Fahad Al-Gergawi, who will further explain the role of Dubai as a global gateway for green trade and investment. He's the CEO of FDI Dubai.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to warn you, I have a dry cough. So if I was, I've been given a syrup that it might work, it might not. I hope it will work, so pardon me if I coughed in between. So let's go. We are at Dubai Green Economy Partnership. Are honored to come back again to this wonderful arena and beautiful cities to present ourselves, our vision, our strategy, and what we're trying to do and achieve with you and the different participants in this Globe 2014. Dubai Green Economy Partnership is a vision of the country and also the city. The federal government of United Arab Emirates have passed this as a strategy until 2021, and this is the only government strategy for green economy fully in the area of Africa, Middle East, and Indian subcontinent. At the same time, Dubai have implemented the same strategy for its own economy. We look at that strategy within 3 points of view. We are connected, we are global, and we are ready. And through this, we've been looking at different areas of how Dubai could participate in the global arena, at least within our area, to really enable the clean tech sector to get into the region. One of the most important things, Dubai is connected to the region, to a 2.2 billion consumer market, which is almost 1/3 of world population. That lacks a sustainable development, or sometimes there is no development at all. The future of this market holds a lot of challenges, but with the sustainable development properly done, I think that will bring on more opportunities. When we look at that, also we look at Dubai as being a global trading hub. It enables businesses to grow from that region and really sells companies, businesses, and connect them with the right partners in the area of Middle East, North and West Africa, North and East Africa, and Indian subcontinent. Looking at that, just to tell you an example, our largest trading partner is India, and the largest trading partner for India is us. We have abundant number of connected flights per week, 100 or over 300 flights, among them only with Emirates Airline, and then from Dubai is 185 flights covering 16 different Indian cities. This is how connected Dubai is with the region. This is how it allows businesses to really move in the region and really give a platform for businesses to grow in the entire region. When companies set up in Dubai, they can take advantage of Dubai outreach program to such destinations. From India, Pakistan, to really northern Iraq, to East African market, to North African market, and increasingly right now the strong bond with Western African markets. We are at the same time looking at develop our strategy. In the next 5 years, we have won the Dubai Expo, which talks about also sustainabilities. The Expo 2020 is one of the major examples of global trust on Dubai as a destination, but at the same time, sustainability is the core business in it. Dubai Expo is talking about connecting minds and connecting people. And part of that is also connecting the world through that vibrant destination. The government lately have passed a strategy to move the city from the e-services to a smart city services for the future. And this will bring on a lot of sustainability. 70% at least of that strategy touches on sustainability and how it can provide a better life and services to the residents of Dubai. The last but not least, looking at Indian subcontinent, the Middle East, India by itself until 2025 would need an infrastructure project that's around $1 trillion. The 6 Gulf countries would need a $2.4 trillion. Looking at that, we look at almost $3.5 trillion of projects. And these are infrastructure projects that will have a good focus on sustainability that will allow such companies to utilize their expertise in these markets. We have to know that, for example, India 2 years ago have suffered the largest power cut in the world, where 300 million people have been affected out of it. These are important issues. The government and the area is getting ready to really enter into this market. We want the different service providers and companies to look at this area seriously, and this will allow them to really grow their markets, and we are ready to assist them from Dubai point of view. I'd like to thank you.
Thank you, Fahad. Now, the Dubai Integrated Energy Strategy sets a precedent for the Middle East. and provides a clear roadmap to the future, providing certainty needed by business leaders and a solid foundation for public-private partnership. Tahar Daib will highlight some of the signposts to the future of energy in Dubai.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure being here with you today. You saw the statement earlier, transferring that vision into action. And this is what I would like to take you through the process of what we have done in Dubai, particularly 5 years ago. Dubai has expanded and grown dramatically, and actually was an unprecedented growth that was seen in the last 10 years. And the beginning of the discussion or the argument was whether we actually continue the same process where we just expand, we add more power, we consume more energy, and we continue the growth, or we go back and look at the elements of sustainability, and we bring in energy efficiency to be a core element in the sustainability model. So what I would like to do is take you through what we have done a few years back. We brought in the element of resource management, governance, and energy efficiency into one integrated Dubai energy strategy. And the idea behind setting up the Dubai Supreme Council of Energy is really to bring a platform where you bring in the stakeholders who are working in this field, support them by law. So it was a mandate. The setup is actually issued by the ruler of Dubai, and give them the governance role, give them the authority by law to come up with a strategy that will help Dubai sustain that growth and be able to cope with the growth that we have seen for the last 10 years. The mission for this strategy is very clear: support Dubai's economic growth through security of energy supply, bringing in the efficiency use of resources, and then meeting the environmental and sustainable objectives. And we believe that strategy would actually support the bigger pictures, the vision for Dubai to become a role model to the world in energy security and efficiency. If I want to take you through this structure, I'm really trying to pass a message to you. The way that Dubai has done this is very unique, and we've actually benchmarked and saw the model of sustainability throughout the world. And we've gotten great and encouraging feedback from people who have seen this, conferences, events, people who came and visited us. I mean, to be able to bring in one entity and bring in also all the stakeholders under one platform and one umbrella, and drive a very specific and structured and focused approach to sustainability is, in my opinion, world class. So the strategy is around four pillars: the governance and the policies. And we are very keen on building that policy framework because we believe investors, technology providers like to see that in a country where they come in and feel free to invest. And I think that's what Dubai has done in the last few years. Energy efficiency and the demand side management is one of the main pillars, and I'll show you more details on that. The energy security and the sustainable cost of that energy. Dubai is a net importer. A lot of you may be not aware of that. Dubai made itself actually from logistics, trading, tourism, financial, and services. And we don't really produce oil and gas, and we rely heavily on importing energy. The way we see it from an alignment point of view is when we looked at the initiative that was launched back a couple of years ago by the government of the UAE, and we've gone through an alignment exercise where we decided that some of the elements, and there is actually an element on the left side there, for some reason it doesn't show. There are 6 tracks there which address very specific issues. And those issues are aligned to some of the projects that you see there on the right of your screen. So we've got solar deployed already at 13 megawatt, and we have more coming on the way. We have 8 DSM programs, very specific on reducing consumption and sustaining the existing energy capacity. We have a very designated solar park, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Solar Park, with a capacity that can go up to 1,000 megawatt. We're also bringing the PPP model, which is the public-private partnership. We believe that's a very, very important element in building the collaboration with the investors and the financing institute. Reduction of carbon goes along with that, so demand reduction will definitely entail also reduction in carbon emission. And we also brought a very specific carbon abatement strategy with very specific targets for carbon reduction. I'll show you some of the 8 programs in addition to the operation efficiency and then the solar and the park in the next slides. This is how the structure of the Dubai Supreme Council of Energy, and this is the unique model that I mentioned to you. You bring in a body with a policy development task that facilitate the decision making and drive the strategic direction on energy for Dubai. And then you also align yourself with members, which are very key players in Dubai. These companies, which some of you might have seen before, include Dubai Water and Electricity Authority, which is the main utility provider in Dubai. We have Dubal, which is an aluminum producer, and they also have their own power, and we was there for an operational efficiency. DUSUP is the gas supplier for Dubai. INOC is downstream petroleum product refined, plus the outlets. DPE is a Dubai Petroleum Establishment. Dubai Municipality is there for environmental reasons, as well as waste to energy. DPA, which is the authority, Dubai Petroleum Authority, that looks after petroleum affairs in Dubai. And then DNEC, which is the Dubai Nuclear Energy Committee. At this stage, we are investigating the potential for nuclear in Dubai. We don't have any plans in the near future to really build nuclear plants, but we are negotiating an offtake agreement with our neighbor in Abu Dhabi. And to make that actually work, we brought also another body, which is the regulatory framework. This is an RSB, Regulatory and Supervisory Bureau. So once the policy and the strategic direction is determined, then the RSB would come up with the regulations and the code of practice that will guarantee the implementation and support that process. This shows you our projected energy mix from now till 2013. So we're about 99.9% dependent on gas right now. We are going to be moving towards bringing other sources of fuel, such as solar at 5%, and we're going to be reaching the 1% target by 2020 when we bring the next 100 megawatt by 2017. The clean coal is another technology we're looking at it, and there has been a huge advancement in making that efficient and relatively clean from an emission point of view. Nuclear is through an offtake agreement. We talked about the demand side being one of the most important elements from an energy efficiency point of view, and we've just completed actually and launched as well a very specific DSM strategy that looks at 8 programs. Some of you are well familiar with that. One is building regulations. So from 2014, from this year, it's mandatory that any new construction has to comply with the Green Building Code. And then we brought the second element, which is the building retrofit. And that's the element that is required to take care of the existing low-efficient buildings from a retrofitting and rehabilitation point of view. District cooling has been there. We are trying to regulate the market because the market is unregulated at this stage. We want to make it more efficient. We want to also influence the pricing where it becomes more competitive to the consumer, and we want to encourage the use of treated wastewater for district cooling industry. Number 4 is standards and labels for appliances and equipment. This is where we get into the Star Energy label system, whether it's appliances or motors or engines or operations efficiency, and particularly on air conditioning, because due to our climate, we do rely heavily on air conditioning, which constitute about 70% of our consumption if you think of the power generated and used inside indoor environments. Water reuse and efficient irrigation, we've achieved a good target now. We're about 90% using the treated wastewater for irrigation purposes, and we want to deploy more towards district cooling usage as well. Outdoor lighting is a very clear choice there because of the extensive lighting that we have throughout the city. Change of tariffs, we're probably the only city in the Middle East, I would say, relatively speaking, that have moved away from subsidy. So we actually have cost-reflective tariffs that are passed on to the consumer, and we have managed to influence the consumer behavior in the first couple of years. Demand response, this is where we move into smart grid and smart city. This is where we move into smart meters and also be able to manage the demand management and the load shifting throughout the city. And that's going to require a number of upgrades, and we have that project lined up for the next 6 to 8 years. This is just a detail of the 8 programs. I think I'm going to skip that and show you this roadmap. And I think this is the message that I'd like to bring you today. Some of you represent companies and investors and technologies, and this is what I would like to show you, some of the programs and the projects that we have lined up on our roadmap. So it shows you from the beginning of launching the office back in 2010, deployment of strategy in 2011, so we're technically speaking about 3 years, and I think we're very proud of what we have done so far, and we have a lot left on our table to move forward. We started with some demand reduction measures a couple of years ago, and we're moving now more structured into a demand management strategy, as I mentioned in the 8 programs. Smart meters were actually deployed on a pilot, so we have a plan to bring in anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 smart meters per day. So this gives you an idea about the market that you're looking at from a smart meters point of view. The requirement and the projects and the initiative stipulated in the strategy really requires a lot of funding. I mean, when you talk about clean technology, when you talk about energy efficiency, it is heavily dependent on huge capex, and we've done a very complete analysis on how we fund that, and that's why we bring in the PPP, and that's why we bring in the regulation to make the market a regulated market, because we do want to win the trust of the investors and the technology providers. And we still have a number of options that we are pursuing as well, such as energy fund or green bonds and things of that sort. On the solar side, we've actually completed the technical codes that are required for independent generators to connect to the grid, and those are going to be finalized and formalized very soon. We are right now focusing on utility-based solar farms because we think the larger capacity will bring us a more cost-effective option. Green building codes, as I mentioned, came in from 2014, and then we are going to be floating the EPC very soon, probably in the next 2 to 3 months, for the 100 megawatt solar based on an IPP model. So we'll be guaranteeing a power purchase agreement for the investor. And then clean coal is slotted for commissioning in 2020. To drive these initiatives, the slides are a bit out of format for some reason. We have also organized a number of events. So in addition to an event that is coming very soon in the middle of April, we have WETEX, which is a huge exhibition. It's been around for a number of years and is gaining momentum as far as the participation. We also have a very specific conference that is going to be launched for the first time in the middle of April. We invite all of you, if you can make it down there, which is the World Green Economy Summit. And this is a platform where we're going to bring in views of experts, technology providers, and investors to talk about green technology and green growth. In addition to that, we have another event we call the Dubai Global Energy Forum. The next one is coming up in October of 2015, and that's basically a drill down on a number of these elements that you see these in the slides. We've also launched what we call the Emirates Energy Award last year, and it was actually completed as a first cycle. This is an award scheme where we wanted to drive awareness, we wanted to drive the capacity and building the national capacity, not only the UAE, but we actually launched it throughout the MENA region, and we had a good response and level of participation. I need to stop here because I know you're going to hear a lot more from my colleagues. So thank you so much for your attention, and it's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Tahir. So we've heard from Waleed and Fahad how Dubai is really open for business, that they're moving very, very quickly and hard, if you like, into the green economy area. You've just heard from Tahir about the roadmap that they're going through in terms of getting there, in terms of energy. We're going to drill down a little bit now. Last October, the first phase of the Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park was officially opened in Dubai. And Mohammed Al Shamsi will shed some light and tell us a little bit about what they're doing with that solar park.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity today, and thank you for having us in Vancouver. I love the city, actually. It's the first time to visit Canada. And hopefully in the future we'll be visiting more. Anyways, let's talk about the organization that I work for. I work for Dubai Electricity and Water Authority. We're the sole provider in Dubai for electricity and water. We have the capacity of 10,000 megawatts in terms of electricity, and we produce approximately 470 million gallons of water per day. Now, in terms of achievements, in Dubai, the customer minutes lost is approximately 5.3. The water line losses are approximately 10.3 as well. If you talk about, let's say, our standing against global utilities, in the MENA region, we are the first in terms of the service providing, quality service provided, and the fourth globally in terms of the service again. Now, if we can talk specifically about the solar project, Tahir covered most of the areas that I want to speak about, but I'll try to elaborate further. As he mentioned regarding the Dubai Integrated Energy Strategy, we're willing to diversify our fuel mix and reduce the dependency on gas from 99% till 71%. So to do that, we want to protect ourselves on, and let's say, to mitigate the risk in a way. Now, mainly, I want to cover the solar part. It would be 5% by 2030, and also, as Tahir said, 1% would be covered by 2020. The strategic, let's say, decision to do that was, again, to explore this area further and to test the technology and make sure that we include the solar technology in it. Now, the area of the solar park is 50 kilometers away from the city. As he said as well, we started our first phase of the pilot project, 13 megawatt last year. We are rolling out the model of IPP, 100 megawatt PV project as well. This would be IPP based, as I said. We will start the tendering phase by the end of the second quarter. By the end of this year, we'll be rolling out or finalizing the power purchase agreement model for it. Now, we're not only generating electricity from the solar park, but we decided to come up with a solar testing facility as well. We want to understand the technology more. The unique situation in Dubai is the weather. We have issues with dust, with humidity, and the direct sunlight, direct irradiation, actually, they call it. So why not create a test facility to make sure that the technology is well adapted in Dubai and can improve the efficiency and do some testings with it. We also decided to create a research and development center to, let's say, establish an R&D specifically for the solar park and look at opportunities with universities and industries to further develop this technology as well. Now, this is the model of the expected solar park and how it would look like in the future. Mainly, it would be covering the PV technology. Add to that, we'll be introducing the concentrated solar power technology as well in future stages. Now, the innovation center that we talked about, it would be an educational center, an exhibitional center, and a business center as well. We want to create some sort of a solar hub in Dubai to showcase this technology, and we wanted to interact with people from the universities, schools, and also a business center for the private sector, of course. Basically, that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mohammed. I get this sense that there's something sort of sublime about using solar power for air conditioning. You're getting the heat from the sun is making you use air conditioning, and you're using it to get cooler. So I think that's kind of a circular economy piece, which is very interesting. Progress towards a low carbon and green economy in Dubai has been a journey of knowledge and strategic thinking. And Salman Al-Rafi will shed some light on how Dubai is now approaching this whole issue of carbon abatement and building energy efficiency.
Morning, everybody. Thank you all for being here. It's a great opportunity for us to come and share with you some of the knowledge and experiences we have done back in Dubai and that had also an effect in the whole region where Dubai is. So to start with my presentation, I just want to give you a bit of background on how the idea came into establishing a carbon center of excellence, which is basically something the government have thought that would add value to the economy and to the existing entities by looking at the gaps on where we can enhance and improve in the efficiencies. So the idea was to look at the best way to establish this. This was established as a public-private partnership. The center is basically a knowledge repository for carbon abatement, and it also looks at all the international best practices to find the best way on how to fit this in our own context. The signing ceremony was in a high-level setting. This gives you also an indication that the leadership is supporting this, which gave us also the motivation and to find the best way to drive this forward in the future. The best way we found to put this is through establishing clusters to look at who is the main and best, let's say, stakeholder who can have an effect, who can deliver the message, and who can basically implement these strategies that we will implement in the future. Okay, so the first project we started with was basically by assessing the greenhouse gas emissions in Dubai. We looked at all the emission sources. We looked at what would be the main source of the emission and how to identify these gaps and how to improve these efficiencies in the future. So what we did is we basically calculated the emission baseline. We looked at where Dubai stands. This was back in 2011. And then we monitored this throughout the past 2 years to see where we stand and how we're moving and how we're putting strategies to basically lower that effect of the environmental impact. After doing this for Dubai level, we did it at the UAE level. So by assessing Dubai, this gave us a good experience since Dubai is basically one of the largest cities in the UAE. So that gave us a good, let's say, skill set, and it built our knowledge onto how to build a good database and how to put together a strategy and a roadmap for the government for a low-carbon transition. After doing this, we looked at how do we move on into the different sectors. So one of the sectors we looked at was the aviation industry. We assisted them in developing a strategy to meet the international challenges, basically. We have a portfolio of also clean development mechanism projects, which is the non-CDM projects. We have developed about 6 projects across the UAE, most of which was in Dubai. And this also helped us in putting together, let's say, an accounting procedure to see how much we lowered in terms of the CO2 emissions. And at that point of time, we have reduced about 1.8 to 2 million tons of CO2. And this is on a yearly basis on the CDM scheme. So as you can see in the slide, there is the State of Energy Report. This is a knowledge project, that we have developed and we launched this December of last year. This gives you an idea of what Dubai has put in terms of initiatives, what sorts of projects we have on the ground, where the leadership is driving our vision, and how the government is establishing the roadmaps and the strategies to deliver on these projects. So why did we choose CO2 in the first place, or carbon? Basically, the carbon is the common denominator. This gives us the opportunity to assess all the different activities, to look at each and every activity within the country or at the city level, and to find ways of comparing an apple to apple, and to also assist us in looking at how to monitor the performance of our green GDP. We also act as a think tank, so we assist the government also in looking at different activities that were not, let's say, within a certain strategy or a certain vision, and we add it to it, and we make sure that it's being delivered in the best way possible by bringing in international also experts and certain expertise. one of the outcomes after doing all these researches and doing the gap analysis and looking at how we can improve the efficiencies, the government have established what is called the demand-side management strategy, which my colleague Tahir have given you a bit of an overview about it. So one of the outputs was to establish the industry for an ESCO, the energy services companies, to make sure that we have a driver, we have an enabler for this market to drive the reduction of the consumption of electricity and water. So the government have established a company called Ittihad Energy. Ittihad Energy is basically the super ESCO, and Ittihad is looking at enabling the market, making sure that the regulatory framework is implemented to look at ways of also attracting international companies to come into Dubai and participate within this sector. So the targets we have set as the government of Dubai is to reduce 1.7 terawatt per hour of the electricity. Another target is to reduce 5.6 billion of imperial gallons of water, to reduce 1 million tons of CO2, and to do this within 30,000 buildings that we have identified, and we're working on a few of them as of now to retrofit them and make them more energy efficient. So the way Dubai Carbon is also assisting in this super ESCO or ESCO industry is to have a carbon-enhanced ESCO. So we have registered a sectorial approach within the CDM scheme, and we have added a carbon credit component to all the buildings that will be retrofitted. So that adds up to the profit of making these retrofits to the buildings by having the opportunity to also get carbon credits. So the structure of how Ittihad Energy as a super ESCO will work is to basically be the coordinator and the facilitator, and also to make sure that there is a financial mechanism to support these buildings. So Ittihad Energy would identify the building. They will look at the ways of financing these projects, and then they will tender these projects in the market to invite ESCO companies to come in and participate and do these retrofits. Another project we have done to basically influence the behaviors of the consumers is a project with the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority, which is the Green Footprint. This is a small project that we have done, but we believe that it will have a very large effect on the society, because whenever a customer receives their bill, there will be a component of showing them what is their CO2 emission or the footprint from their consumption. We looked at also the transportation sector. We started with Emirates Transport, which is a federal transportation company, which has over 13,000 vehicles. So we have developed a strategy for them, and now we're working on implementing some of the measures to lower the consumption of the consumption of the fuel within these transportation means. And we also looked at telecom companies on how to lower their emission, and we started with the DEWA telecommunication company. It's one of two telecom companies we have back in the UAE. And we also assisted them and helped them in reducing the consumption from their data centers and other stations. Also with the Dubai police, since the police have also a very large influence into the economy, and I mean not only the economy but also the society, we have developed a strategy, and we're still working with them on that. And this will also help us in raising the awareness and making sure that we move towards the low-carbon economy. And last but not least, we have developed or established a training institute. This training institute has certain skill sets in energy management, in sustainability, in climate change, in different aspects of how to bring in, let's say, how to create the balance between the economic growth and the environmental impact. So we've been assisting all government entities plus the private sector in many of these training. We have different modules, and we're still working on enhancing it and improving it for the future. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Salman. So we've heard about the direction Dubai is going in. They really are committed to this green economy. You've heard the initiatives that they're undertaking, the opportunities, and I think tremendous opportunities for companies and technologies to come to Dubai. Well, how do you do that? I mean, business operates in clusters, it operates with networks, et cetera. So Marwan Abdul Aziz will highlight some of the sort of unique business services that are offered in Dubai and that will help accelerate the adoption of green technologies.
Thank you, John. That's exactly the point. So if you think you have something to offer, then you should come and talk to me.
There we go.
So thank you for Globe and the organizers for giving us this opportunity to come here and present the Dubai Green Economy Partnership. And we're very glad as a company to be part of this initiative. I'd like to start with giving you a perspective of what our company does and what is it that we have been doing for the last 15 years. We are part of a company which is a semi-government company called TCOM Business Parks, and it's basically an industry-led business park development, and there are 5 sectors that it caters to, from ICT, media, education, science, and industry. So the cluster that I look after is the science cluster, which is Dubai Tech for Biotechnology and NPark for Energy and Environment. So the vision for NPark is to be a business park within Dubai to facilitate the growth of energy and environment companies. And the key focus areas for us is energy and renewables, energy efficiency, green buildings, and waste management. So if you noticed from my previous colleagues, these are areas that is either have been planned for the government to improve, or areas that is of significant value to the economy. And this is why we picked these 4 areas to focus on and attract companies to Dubai. The benefits, in a nutshell, we are a free zone, or some people call it special economic zone. So there are all the tax benefits that you can think of. But I think what's more important is the cluster benefits and what you can avail by being close to companies that are doing something similar to what you do. And we obviously also provide a business-friendly environment, so we enable businesses, and we try also to answer questions, whether it is for market access, regulatory, and we consult companies as well, because we know that companies entering into the market usually have a lot of questions before they make any decisions. In terms of what we provide to enable that, we have very unique facilities ranging from laboratories, warehouses, small offices for small companies, and also a zoned master plan for certain activities. These are just some pictures of the facilities that we have, and currently we have more than 46 companies. And if you look at some of the names here, you will notice that it is a mix of multinational companies and small companies as well. So it is not only the big companies that we try to bring, but also we definitely promote innovation and entrepreneurship, and this is something that we encourage very much. So these companies, like I mentioned earlier, focus on the 4 areas, which is energy, renewables, waste management, and green buildings. And I think they're important to be aligned with what the government and what the plans are, so that it makes more business sense. And I think the last point that I'd like to highlight on is that, like my other colleague said, Fahad earlier, that Dubai is not only about the UAE or the Gulf region. if you are in Dubai, then you have access to an enormous region of more than 2 billion people. So the market potentials are huge. And I think this is very clear if you look at the Emirates Airlines connections. So from Dubai, it flies to 300 times to India, and I don't know, 12 times to other countries. So it is not a reflection of how many people we have, because the UAE is only 8 million people, but it shows that how connected it could be to the entire region, and that is an opportunity that I think companies should take a very serious look at. With that, I'd like to end my presentation.
So you've heard from a number of people here about where Dubai is going. I think in simple terms, Dubai is on the move. The opportunities are tremendous. They're moving very, very quickly to be a smart city. It's a hub for green entrepreneurship, and I think an opportunity for all of us to participate. So we have some time for questions if anybody has them. I'd like to interact with the audience and with our panel.
Right now, it's actually managed by a number of people depending on the programs. For example, if you think of the Green Building Code, it's being driven now from an execution level by the Dubai municipality, because they are the one who are responsible for issuing of building permit and the compliance with these regs. And you take, for example, street lighting, it's going to be passed on, and it is actually managed by RTA. A lot of issues related to energy efficiency, tariffs, smart cities, smart grid is being worked now by DEWA, which is the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority. So it's actually, this is what is unique about our model is you've got transparency, you've got a structured approach, and you see that everybody is playing a role that is in a way liable for, because we have a timeline, we have a cost, and we have a performance management type of process. We will review the progress every 2 months through the board meetings.
I think you mean support from the public, is that it?
From the public, yes.
Okay.
I think what I need to highlight that how that, from where it comes. In 2012, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Vice President and the Prime Minister of United Arab Emirates and ruler of Dubai, he announced this initiative. It came from the top of United Arab Emirates government. So he came with this initiative, which called Green Economy for the Sustainable Development. So this is a clear direction how the government and how the United Arab Emirates move forward in the future. So they set the stage, whereas the green economy will be the driver for any continuous growth in the future. So it came from the top, then been sitting as a strategy on the government side, then being cascaded down to each entity within the business. So in terms of awareness, there is a full engagement from all entities, from the community, business owners, and we all now speaking about the green economy as a driver. So there is a clear strategy, a roadmap. You name it. That's why today we're talking about a summit even. There is a platform where it's like annual summit talking about the green economy, how we're going to drive the business, what's the definition of the green economy. So there is a full engagement all across the business and the government, the private sectors. So talking today, the language we're speaking about the green economy. There is very much strong commitment. Everyone talking about the business or the government side. There is plans and strategy. So today we all speaking about the green economy, and we believe that it's going in the right direction.
May I add one point?
Go ahead.
Just to add one point with regard to that, government initiatives that comes in Dubai complement two areas. One is the strategy that will go, and then how the strategy affects people, residents, even visitors. It was always that, and I will expect that some people might not understand it. It's just driven by government, and government want to do it. It's not the case in Dubai. It's all about sharing certain vision. It comes from drive by the government, but it's always partnership with the private sector, with the NGOs and the different society members who have something to say in it. I'll give an example of last government meeting. It was the cabinet ministers meeting, and that they went into a retreat, and they said we'll cover two areas. They are education and health services. And they sent 2 weeks before that to all the citizens and residents living in there. We have a large expat community. Please share with us what you want to highlight. If there are areas you want to develop and you want to share with us. It was on Twitter. We have 8 million residents in the country. Twitter received 12 million tweets of different ideas. And if you don't believe it, some of the ideas came from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the region, all the way to Europe and United States and Canada. People like to share, but also if you give them a time, if you give them something to really participate in. When the retreat happened, there was fathers, students, a teacher, a doctor, and a family participating in a normal, different tables, just to really showcase that this is not only driven from the government, this is also driven from people. There is a strong belief in UAE and Dubai that ideas and implementation comes in a better stage when it is shared between the government, private sector, societies, and NGOs. This is how it goes, this is how we are doing it, and this is how we want to do it. Just before I close, once we finished the green economy last year or this year, we finished a new implementation from the Dubai government, and it's also on federal level, a smart society. We did have an e-government services. It's all wiped out. It has to be smart services on people's device. The government want to have all services available on people's devices 24/7, anytime the day they think of. This is a challenge, but we are up to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
I'm Eagles Milbergs with the Center for Accelerating Innovation in Seattle. Again, congratulations on doing a comprehensive, holistic approach to these issues. We've put together in Washington State something called Plan Washington about growing our innovation economy, very much focused on sustainability and on increasing jobs, et cetera. And it's focused on creating clusters. And we've got clusters emerging now in food, water, energy, in terms of digital services, data centers, and so on. I'm wondering what you see as the opportunities for what I call cluster-to-cluster economic development opportunities. A lot of these initiatives tend to be focused on, attracting individual organizations and companies. But I think there's kind of another meso-level or macro level that would allow a cluster in one region of the world and clusters in other regions of the world to truly create a collaborative framework for a variety of things, exchanging ideas, product development, entrepreneurship, investment, et cetera, et cetera. I'm wondering what your thoughts are about how to build that kind of global network connecting all the clusters that are focused on the kinds of things you're trying to do.
Yeah, actually, this is one of the main objectives of the Dubai Green Economy Partnership. And we have done it like last year. We've been engaging with Copenhagen in Denmark, and they have different clusters. They have the Clean Tech Association, and they have the State of Green. And there are 2 clusters that we already engaged with them. And just yesterday, we signed one other cluster. So that sort of platforms and for engagement and connecting between the two, definitely we very much encouraging. And this is our part of our today business. That's why we're coming here, to find the best cluster that we can engage to share knowledge, either to share experience, and to make a business if there is any business opportunity.
Thank you. Well, we are now out of time. There's another session coming in here in 10 minutes. Join me in thanking our panel. I think this is a great opportunity to learn a lot about Dubai. I encourage you to meet with them as they come off stage. They are quite happy to talk with you. And there is a exhibition and a conference in Dubai in April, which you should look at. And we have other Dubai delegates up front here, so feel free to approach them and talk with them. Thank you.